They want you to be stupid. The ugly truth. Protect yourself. When it came to dating and relationships in the past, I was a big simp who never put my needs and wants first. Instead, I would constantly put the woman's demands and goals ahead of mine, which did not go well for your boy. Most of us took a hit in our dating and long-term relationships because most guys who women used, abused, and manipulated prioritized a woman's happiness over their own. I can attest to this because, for the majority of our relationship, I put my ex's needs, wishes, and happiness before mine. I did believe I was acting morally, after all. As a child, I saw this in Disney and other silly movies, and everyone around me encouraged me to wait until my ex was ready rather than expecting her to provide me with bedroom pleasure. Do you understand what I mean? From the beginning of that relationship, I was being foolish, and all I wanted to do was pamper her and have fun in the bedroom. Brothers, I understand what it's like to put so much effort into a girl you like with all your heart and receive nothing in return. At first, I went down the wrong path, or you can call it the SIMP path. You guys should know that a man is already in trouble when he either verbally or inwardly acknowledges his love for his partner or begins to play the game on her terms. Except for a heartbreak in the relationship that forces you to return to being a man, there is no way to recover from it. My last relationship ended on a day when I told myself I loved this girl, and I still distinctly recall that day. Because I began to follow her rules and play her games, everything I did from that point on harmed our bond. Allow me to explain to avoid confusing you guys. In a relationship or while dealing with a woman, never have a stronger affection for a lady than she has for you. That is one of the critical guidelines you must adhere to. And the reason it is so crucial is that the moment you begin acting emotionally, the relationship is over. Remember that emotions are a woman's domain, and that you as a man are ill-equipped to handle women if you cannot reason effectively or see clearly. For instance, if your mother experiences financial difficulty and decides she wants to move in with you, you might decide to let her since you love your mother and have begun to feel sympathetic toward her. I'm sorry to inform you that if you want to be a masculine man married or are in a committed relationship, your mother will sabotage and disrupt the calm in your family. You won't feel comfortable in your own home and won't be able to act independently in it without your mother's supervision. In addition, if she gets out of hand and you try to remove her forcibly, she will use emotional blackmail to entice you back into her world and convince you to let her stay with you so she won't be alone. If you are married or in a relationship, your mother will ruin it so she can have you and your resources all to herself. I've seen what happens to men when they make decisions based on emotions. Believe me, it's not good. Your happiness comes first no matter who you are dealing with, which brings me back to my earlier point about why you shouldn't like a lady more than how she likes you. You'll come out on the wrong side because you'll finally elevate her and put her happiness ahead of your own. It's ideal if you never lose sight of the fact that you are the most critical person in your life. Nobody else or another lady will love you or watch out for your best interests until it's too late. You cannot sacrifice yourself for the happiness of another person, whether it be a member of your family, close friends, or community members. I am terrified when I observe married men in unhappy relationships with a lady who doesn't love them, and she claims he is staying with the kids. The dad would rather bear the cost on behalf of his children, who could still desert him and side with their mother in the event of his inevitable divorce. I had to go through a lot of pain before I realized that women would use me, but now that I do, I can confidently state that I will never again put anyone before me, not even my parents, and indeed, not some lady. Whose happiness is more significant, ask yourself. If it's other people, you'll constantly attempt to please them and become a people pleaser who is exploited and misused. You can begin living your life for yourself and according to your terms if it is you. Real men act that way. If everyone else's wants always come first, you cannot call yourself a man or evolve. I could not do this in my prior relationship, which is why my ex used me and tossed me like a used tissue. Sometimes you have to say yes to yourself and no to others, even if it means losing that person for good. The happiness of another person should never come before yours, since it is unnecessary in our cold world, gentlemen. Next, you must realize that the most fantastic strategy for the game is not to be played. There are two things that women may sell men to keep them around. Hope and an implied future pleasure are the two factors, because you, as a guy, would have no motivation to speak to or connect with women. As Petrus O'Neill would frequently explain, manipulation cannot even succeed without those two things. Men who follow their lead win because they are immune to these women's manipulation. Women cannot offer hope or suggest future pleasure to these men, since they don't want anything to do with them. I can say this confidently because I remained in my previous relationship for 2 years. After all, she gave me the impression that I would soon be able to enjoy our pleasure in bed with her. Still, I only had to wait till she was ready. Later, she managed to manipulate me to the point where she told me that I was being impatient and would have to wait a century, which got us back to our original point about not playing on women's emotional turf. Women and men who learn this the hard way agree that only a fool would purchase a product that hasn't been put to the test or doesn't have any proof of the results. If you were using common sense, you wouldn't wait 3 years to enjoy a woman's company in bed after she's already had several other guys as lovers. You remained, though, because you were in her emotional territory, and she had sold you on having access to her body in the future. In truth, the wait is never worth it, despite what you could have known logically, which is that most of those men probably didn't have to wait for very long. Instead, you believed it was because you were in the grip of your emotions. How would you handle the scenario if she didn't like you and was using you to obtain free attention? It would be to disregard her rules and instruct her to go after hearing that she needs 900 days to get ready for bedroom pleasure. A similar criticism can be leveled towards men who choose to wed non-virgins without first seeing how much pleasure they would have in bed. Why would any sane man marry a lady with whom he has never had bedroom fun, when the marriage vows state that she should be the only one to provide him with bedroom pleasure until death do you apart? What if you married her and she dislikes making love? Your marriage will be without pleasure for several months or years, or maybe forever. When making long-term decisions concerning their life, men must constantly keep an open mind. You must test drive the vehicle at the car dealership to determine whether you will enjoy it or not. Referring back to the men who date women, if she makes you wait while using resources like time, money, energy, and attention, she is playing coochie games. Cut her off and cease providing her your help. The claim that your happiness is more significant than hers is true. If a lady won't provide bedroom pleasure after you have given everything to her, is a parasite and a leech who only uses you. If you genuinely love yourself, then you must cut ties with her. I'm telling you to get your lives together and put yourself first, since I couldn't do it. I don't care if it's your mom, dad, kids, wife, girlfriend, relatives, or friends. Never reward individuals who try to take advantage of you. If you have to, cut them off. Then separate yourself from them. The harsh reality is that God did not put you on this planet to appease anyone but yourself. It's not selfishness. It's having your priorities in order, with you at the top of the list at all times. Send the video to a man who needs to see it so that he can realize that his highest priority is himself. That is all for today, gentlemen. If you want to see similar videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Press the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos.